the phone.
Okay, there's a like 1/5 of a second lag time between the two audio feeds. This is horrible.
Okay, we're about to start this call. Let me switch over to out of headphones and go directly to the, see if I can go directly to, on. Welcome to our weekend for the Bucky call. I'm all excited, and I'm out here on remote for just a minute, but we're going to go ahead and start the call. I'll listen in as we get going. So, Richard, how are you feeling tonight, and what do you anticipate with this phone?
You know, bypass me for the moment.
Okay, so let's start with Fred. Fred, how are you feeling? What do you anticipate for this?
Okay, I'm feeling pretty good, highly energized since Liz just pumped some energy into me when I joined the call. That was wonderful. And my expectation for the call is that I learned something about 4 dimensions. If that is what we're going to do today, I think so. Not sure. Anyway, I learned something. That's my take for today. Richard, are you ready for
Yeah,
not being back? Yes? Okay, Richard, how are you feeling and what is your expected takeaway for today?
well, it's been a good Saturday. I started off with our trim tab group meeting and some a new a participant who was a young man in his 30s, 34 years old, and he and 3 others are very engaged in bringing synergetics into the forefront a lot more than it has been. So it's uh, he joined the group this morning and could see that he was the youngest probably by about 30 or 40 years. So it's good to see the younger generation picking up on some of the things that some of us have been interested in for quite a long time. Um, and so this evening I was at a community art festival fundraiser for artists in this part of the world, and it the center is located on the edge of the Rocky Mountains, so you look out over the beautiful foothills and on into the mountains. So it's an idyllic setting. Um, and I just saw a posting earlier this evening of uh, Amy Edmondson talking about how important it is to allow children to fail in school. And I didn't really see it, but in detail, but I know she was probably talking about Bucky's approach to education and the importance of learning from your mistakes rather than being appraised for what you claim to know. Um, I always remember he made the argument that you should get high marks for uh, the, the the amount of mistakes that you can identify in something that you have done, and then learn from those mistakes and do it again. Um, and uh, so it's just really nice to be in touch with Amy that way, as well as reading your book and also remembering, since this is 2025, on the 100th anniversary of Bucky's birthday in 1995, I went to that celebration in San Diego and had the opportunity to be in an actual workshop with Amy Edmondson, which is um, really a delight. And I still have pictures of her uh, adult kindergarten session with gumdrops and toothpicks and and the enjoyment that everybody got out of that when they realized that they could let their inner child come out and play in an adult kind of environment. So I'm just always looking forward to more of that kind of learning and understanding. So um, Where are we? Leah, how are you? And
Thank you.
how's your feeling, your takeaway for today? Or, what you expect being
What I
takeaway.
expect, yes. I'm expecting a lot because last week was wonderful. It was phenomenal for me because I began to understand the week before's talk that I had, it flew over my head and I couldn't catch it. It was awful the week before. And then last week, I grasped it. I understood it. I love the triangles. I love the squares. And today, Steve, I don't know if he can. Now there is his ear. Um, I'm wondering he can if he can bring that deal up that we saw. Where do you see squares or do you see circles? And wow, the circles came in through all of the squares. It was wonderful. It looked like a whole bunch of windows. And then all of a sudden, you could see circles everywhere. And that was great to see. And I am getting more and more involved in seeing that kind of artwork. It's fascinating. So, and since you have already spoken, did you speak already? Did Fred ask you?
And not for the not that we
Oh, all
started
right.
yet. Yes.
So, how do you feel? And what do you want out of this session?
A lot too. Yes, I'm feeling great as well, being able to join always. And I think I just want to add a little bit to what Richard was saying earlier about failure and things like this, yeah, and that leads to Fred asking what we were doing. Failure is such a taboo word in Asia, right? Failure is like a horror. No, mistakes are punished, and I think I've shared this before, where in my students from Taiwan told me that they get punished for every mistake made. So imagine they score 96%, they get wrapped on their hands 4 times. Like who does that, right? But in Asia, yeah, that kind of thing happens. So this idea of failing, if the minute I have access to being able to take charge of a university, I mean, as in having not take charge, but being able to influence it, the first thing is we're going to make sure that whatever the results, even if it's a negative, it's a failed attempt, you should be able to write about it and mark should be given. So we started in our school because we have this biosphere where kids are spending 10 hours a week on environmental rejuvenation plus the entrepreneur part. So now this year we've just started the August calendar year, where the school is 4+1. I think we're the first in Malaysia to do this, where the rest of the 4 days in a week, the students are working on their regular curriculum, but 1 day a week rather than 10 hours spread out. It's still 10 hours, but the others but it's about 7.5 hours where they're fully focused on working on anything to do with of their interest under the 4 pillars that we have for our biosphere curriculum, right? And so because we do it that way, they can go for a trip, easier to organize, etc. But and they do have their portfolios. They have their, and in their portfolios they can write about their failures. Yeah. If it doesn't work, it's just as important as it not working. So this is something that's so difficult for Asians to wrap their head around, and takes a lot of undoing. But one thing I just put it out there that you have to, when you're talking to Asians, they have the mentality of either or. It's either or. If you're having fun, there's no way you can be learning. If you're learning, there's no way you can have fun. That kind of thing, right? So and so when you talk about failure, you have to qualify in Asia. they equate it to carelessness, they equate it to laziness. So the understanding of what failure is very, very superficial. And that's how a lot of Asians are educated, very, very surface in terms of the language they use. And also, so that's why it's so important what we're doing here, digging down to exactly what is said and what the reality is. So you have to qualify failure to, if you try to honest, you've done everything. And if it doesn't work, that's the failure we're talking about, not the lazy, callous type. So you really have to qualify. Otherwise, you start talking, the parents were like, oh, this school accepts failure. That means they're not interested in getting the kids to do well. That's how it goes. So anyway, that's and so you know what I expect, as in the depths that we get from our meeting. So Steve, how do you feel, and what are your expectations today?
Hey, I'm excited to be here. I'm outdoors right now. My son has a concert, and I feel terrible about a conflict of interest. And I also feel that family is very important, and so I'm going to support him. I've heard the first mix on the first tune they did. They started late, and I'm going to finish my introduction, turn it over to you guys. I'm going to walk in and hear the mix on the next tune, and see how they held up on their musical performance. I want to say, before I forget anything, I'm really grateful for every one of you on this call and for your experience, where you come from, your background. Richard and his many years of being involved in this, and each of you, Fred and Ann, and now Lee, bringing your expertise to the picture. I want to say something about Ann and her failure thing. Listen, when I first got started in real estate, I'd been in a rock and roll band, and then I got involved with the radio station and became program director of the radio station. I developed a lot of marketing for it. Then I quit the radio station and started an advertising agency. I designed a logo for a real estate company, and then I bought the real estate company and became a real estate broker. And I would say one of the keys to my success was there's a guy named Tom. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I'm not remembering his name. He wrote the book, How to Master the Art of Selling Anything. He first of all started the book, How to Master the Art of Selling Real Estate. And he taught me this thing. I'll remember it before we go into my takeaways today. I'll give him full credit. But if you want to look up the book, How to Master the Art of Selling Anything, this is in there. I never see failure as failure. I see failure. And then he has 3 or 4 affirmations of how to handle failure. One of the ones I remember is, I see my failures as stepping stones to my success. And over the years, I've kind of modified that. And I say to people, I have stumbling blocks, but my stumbling blocks become building blocks. And some of those stumbling blocks become cornerstones for what I do in my life. There's so much to be learned. And I'm so appreciative of the idea of like looking at how something went wrong. And sometimes something goes wrong by a fluke. Sometimes something goes wrong because I completely missed the point. And the more I examine my failures, the more I see clearly the truth of reality. I think this is so profound for people to learn that failure is a stepping stone to success, that failures are not stumbling blocks, they're building blocks for the future. So I think that's a marvelous concept. And boy, do I support you in that. And man, I almost remembered his name again. It's so funny because I had 3 main gurus in my life. One was Tommy Hopkins. There's his name. See, Tom Hopkins wrote the book How to Master the Art of Selling Anything. The other guy was Mark Harrelson, who wrote a book called How to Build the Financial Genius Inside of You. And the third guy was a guy named Paul J. Meyer, who was a big guy in Success Motivation Institute. I took his course, Dynamics of Personal Leadership. It cost me 3 times my monthly house payment to take that course, but it changed my life. And at one point, I spoke on the same stage with Mark Harrelson and with Tommy Hopkins. And what was so amazing was that Mark invited me to go to Paul J. Meyer's house. And so now I was in a swimming pool with, I've had some really amazing things in my life. It all started with the idea of accepting failure as stepping stones to success. So, man, anything you do on that end is fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to trust, at this point, Manu is here. So we're going to invite Manu to share. And then Manu, when you're done sharing, who's volunteering to read out of their book? Who's going to read? What?
Okay, I'll get started.
So Manu, when you're complete with your opening, turn it over to Anne. She'll start our reading for tonight. And then I will join you guys again shortly. I'm excited. Okay, Manu, how are you feeling and what do you anticipate for tonight?
Feeling good. Just waking up now. I'm boarding the train and I trust everything is going to go good and I'm going to land somewhere where progress. So Anna, over to you.
Okay, so I'll get started with this. We're at chapter 12, which is page 197. The chapter is all space filling, new types of packing crates. Do we all have that? Okay. All right, I'll just carry on with it. Fuller, in his characteristic drive for verbal accuracy, updates geometry's conventional term, space filling, with his own more descriptive and predictably longer all space filling. Here's the puzzle. Which of the polyhedra introduced so far can pack together in such a way that all available volume is occupied without any gaps? Oh, thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Yeah, I did
So
that.
thank you, Fred. The concept is not new. Ever since close packing equiradius spheres, we have danced around the issue of space filling, and in the process made most of the discoveries that this chapter will expand upon. The IVM disclosed certain space fillers while making it clear that other polyhedra did not share this ability. However, filling all space now becomes the focus of our investigation, calling for the systematic analysis that enables new insights and a more thorough understanding. Despite its obvious applicability, space filling is not emphasized in Fuller's work. An ability to fill all space is generally mentioned as further description of a given polyhedron rather than providing an investigative starting point for synergetics. Fuller's operational approach encourages more experimental exercises such as packing spheres together, which then led to space fillers after the fact. In view of our overall goal of researching the characteristics of space, what could be more logical than to ask what fits into it, what shapes are accommodated by space? The notion that space is not a passive vacuum gradually becomes second nature. Experience has changed our awareness. Now we want to become ever more exact about these active properties. The existence of an extremely limited group of polyhedra that can pack together to fill all space is now one of the more direct illustrations of the specificity of spatial characteristics. The puzzle is quite challenging. Without actually making a horde of tiny cardboard models of the polyhedra in question, these spatial configurations are extraordinarily difficult to visualize, with the sole exception of the obvious space filler, an array of cubes. Once again, to gain more experience with the concept, we revert to the plane, or to be more accurate, the page. In deference to Bucky's strict position, we must acknowledge that the theoretical plane is a non-demonstrable concept, but we can certainly and quite appropriately discuss filling up a page. Do you want to pause there?
No, finish the
Okay. Plane
Yes.
tessellations. Okay, sure.
Are you sure, Manu? That's a lot.
No. I'm saying up the page to discuss filling up the page. Is she there?
Yeah, we finished the introduction. Technically,
Okay.
that's the introduction. We're going into plane tessellations, which is the next chapter. Yeah.
Okay. Can I make uh, um a point here that we saw? I'm just always surprised that we skip that and then we get into complexity. We saw that at the level of a plane, you have a triangle and a square. Let me illustrate that here. Because this thing, I'm reading this thing, it appears easy to me, and I struggle to find why it's difficult, or why Amy says that is difficult. Let me put this like that. This is a triangle. The triangle is, how will I call it? Is not flexible. It is stable in terms of shape. This is, let me do the triangle in green. The triangle in green, and the other guy in red. I don't know why. Okay. Sorry, I'm still fumbling a little bit, probably from sleeping. Okay. Okay. You see this guy? We call it in Africa indao, meaning a house. This is, I mean, if you go in illustration 2D, that's the way a house is. The roof is fixed. This is fixed. And this can take all kind of flexibility. This square here can become a rhombus. It can become anything, right? Sorry, I take out my right. So we see that with these two, you feel space. You can feel the plane. I can put together many like this and it will fill the plane. This will also fill the sphere because this will do this and that will do that. That's how you get this. That's how you get the isocosahedron and its dual. It is filling the space. This provides rigidity and that provides flexibility. Energy flows, energy always flows. Energy flows to the line of this resistance that way. Does it not explain all of this?
Well, let's hang on to it and see.
Give me a case that this does not explain. Okay, so I've just made this remark here. Let's read, continue reading. Let's keep this in mind.
Yes, and what you've done is you've displayed it in the plane.
Yes. This will become a tetrahedron. That will become a cube. Thus the cube octahedron that we see, that fill all space. We also saw this, we saw that in, I think in cosmometry. But that is, to me, is as simple as that.
I will say that I had an epiphany about what you just said, Manu.
Me too.
You did too, Anne?
Uh-huh.
What was your epiphany? Go ahead.
No, you
I'll share
go.
mine in a minute.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, Steve.
Okay, well, because I've said over and over, and Manu continues to say, energy always flows. It flows to the point of least resistance. If energy flew into that two-dimensional plane with the triangle attached to the square, energy is going to screw with that square because the square is not stable. The energy is not going to screw with that triangle because that triangle is stable. And so when Manu says the square can become anything, it can become anything.
It could collapse into a line. It could go into a rhombus. It could go into some weird shape. The energy is going to flow into that square because that square is not stable. That was my epiphany. So thank you, Manu. You've said it probably 80 or 100 times. And that was an epiphany for me. The energy is going to flow into that square because it's not stable. And also, Manu, before I forget, I want to acknowledge you for working on your language about the be right thing. You've really been sensitive to our feedback, and I acknowledge you for remembering that and working on that language. That's a sign of real growth and compassion, because some of us are weird. So that was my epiphany. Thank you, Manu. Anne, go ahead.
Oh, well, Fred, Steve, you just added to it. Well, for the first time, I'm seeing what tessellations are for. And then, I've seen it with the students' work, but then I kept thinking, we never learned tessellations, right? In my, when I grew up doing math. And then suddenly, when Manu started pulling the thing together, yes, we did, except that nobody took it further than turning a cube or a cuboid into a flat, two-dimensional thing. But we never went further than that, maybe a pyramid, and that's about it, right? So, and suddenly I'm seeing the picture in the next page, and when Manu talked about that, it's like, that's what tessellation is. So, and now we're leading it to close packing, and that's going into from 2D to 3D. It's from area to volume. I'm like, everything is just finally connecting for the first time in my life, and it's taken 6 decades to get there for one thing that when we learned was oversimplified, and that's exactly what's been happening in math from kindergarten. Is oversimplified, so it doesn't lead to things that helps us build a more huge understanding of math. So Manu, if you want to know why it's difficult for us to see it, there's a book called Dumbing Down Education, and that's exactly what has happened in Asia, where everything has been dumbed down so badly. Okay, so but anyway, thank you so much. Yeah.
And by the way, this is duality. This is the beginning. Stable, unstable. Stable and unstable describe the whole universe. The whole universe is described by that unique relationship. And its topological is a concept. That is it. This is stable, that is unstable. And stable plus unstable plus a link plus the bond make the triangle of Richard, topologically, always. Unity is plural at a minimum of 3. It's a plural at a minimum of 1 stable, 1 unstable, and the bond. That is enriching what Fuller said.
He didn't say 3.
Yeah, I'm saying enriching what he said. Now I'm inventing. I'm taking risks with you guys.
Okay. So do we continue with playing tessellation?
Yes.
Okay.
I just thought that this will help us in the understanding of that complexity that she presents here.
Okay. I'll just read this section, then I'll pass it on to somebody else after that. Yeah.
Hold on one second.
Sorry. Yes.
Richard, Bucky actually said 3 also. He said up to 30. Be 30 because according to Bucky, a system has 30 individual properties that create the unity of a system. So along the way, his definitions of unity go from unity is plural and at minimum 2, and at minimum 3, and at minimum 7, and at minimum 30, depending on what exactly he's talking about. So the
Yes.
most universal one is unity is pure and at minimum 2, because that encompasses everything. But then as he zooms in, as he's tunes into a specific domain, then he says, well, in that special case, the minimum for unity is that or that or that or the number. So he said also 3. That's what I wanted to say.
Wow.
I share my screen, and once everybody got it, maybe Anne, you can keep going.
And hey, Fred, I want to acknowledge you for bringing in the special case. That word, when you said, minimum, unity is a minimum of 2, and then he talks about special case, where it's more. I love the idea of special case. That really puts a context on it, puts a bow on it. And so now I look for 3, 7, 30. I look for these different parameters depending on the special case. What a key word. Thank you very much for bringing that in.
My pleasure.
Well, then we could also dialogue a little bit more then about what it feels like a contradiction in what is minimum. So it seems to me that might also be looking at minimum, say minimum 2, and then it's sort of minimum plus or minimum. So it's I guess what I'm looking for in the dialogue is the different sort of meanings attached to minimum if we go from 2 to 3 to 7 to whatever up to. So for me, when you have the up to, it always says to me that, well, I can start with a minimum, whatever that is, minimum 2, and it can go up to something. So help me with this idea of these multi-minimums.
Okay. I don't think there's a contradiction. I think there's a distinction. When Bucky is talking about the entire universe, he says unity is pure at minimum of 2 because there are partitions of the universe which are units at minimum of 2. But when he's talking about systems, and he's talking about specifically the attributes, the properties of systems, he says unity is plural, unity of systems is plural at minimum 30, because he has identified 30 unique properties of systems which must all be there present in order to make a system comply to the full definition of a system according to him. So it's all a question of partition. If you look at, say, the universe, the sub, let's find an example that's easy. The color red and the color blue. Unity is plural at minimum of 2, but if you look at the reds, it's a continuum of reds in the spectrum, and so the unity of reds is unity is plural at minimum of whichever distinctions, how many distinctions you can make within the reds. Not sure my example is perfect, and we could argue about the nature of red, but that's the idea. That's what.
Yeah, no, I can get that, and it's talking about unity in the one case, and then when he's talking about systems, he has also used the minimum 4 in terms of a system, minimum whole system. And he does say it has to do with whole, not just any kind of system, but it talks about the whole system. So it's just, trying to get one's head around the multiplicity of minimums, but they're not necessarily attached to the same unit. One unit might be unity, one unit might be system, one unit might be something else.
Actually, that's a very good point you make. It's unity as number of things, not as a unit of measure. It's a counting thing.
And Richard, when he talks about the minimum, is this 4 is the minimum structure? That was a key word there. This goes back to the epiphany for me, the special case. And I think choosing the exact word for the case is critical. And when it comes to the tetrahedron, that's the minimum structure. The minimum shape is a triangle, but the minimum structure is a tetrahedron. And then we have systems. And one might call a triangle a system. One might call a tetrahedron a system. But I think Fred is talking about larger systems as the cuboctahedron and the vector equilibrium start going through space, and as energy flows to the case of least resistance, we have these collapsing squares and cubes. Suddenly we have a multiplicity of systems, and we might have a multiplicity of special cases. So
again, all I'm saying there that he's clear in talking about whole systems, not just systems, and that to me is a big issue. And in the first paragraph that we read, there's a phrase there that sort of always jumps out at me now when we're talking about wholes, and starting with the whole and going to the parts to, in a sense, understand the whole, versus starting with the parts to try and understand or develop the whole. And so he is making a distinction, it seems to me, between holism, and say system. He's talking about a whole system as a minimum. And so the phrase that actually jumped out at me is the need to do a systematic analysis. And whenever I now see the word analysis, it implies to me that you start with the whole and you try and build it up to be able to say that you now know what the whole is. Like, in other words, the wholes add up to the whole, or the parts add up to the whole, whereas the reverse is the whole to begin with is more than the sum of its parts. And my simple mathematical demonstration of the proof of that is 2 triangles, 1 + 1 = 4 triangles. And so that to me is the simple proof of the whole is more than the sum of its parts.
Thank you, Richard. Manu, you had your hand raised.
Yes. Okay. First point is that it is important to notice that Becky always talks about systems.
No, he talks about whole systems.
Yes,
well.
I'm saying he always talk about systems in general. A whole system is a okay. The second, I'm sorry. The second thing is this one. Let me just show you what I was trying to illustrate here. Just give me a second to finish it. Okay. I don't know if this. Okay, here. Steve is not here. He cannot take a snap. Can anybody take a snapshot of this?
You hold on a second.
Yeah, let me just hold.
Pin. Okay, hold on. I'll move. Got it. And you want me to share it?
Yes.
Okay. Let me. I'm not as skilled as Steve.
Steve.
I lack practice.
But you are there.
Okay, and now share.
Yes.
Where is it? Here? No, here. Share.
He's trying to take a picture of it.
Okay, you got it. All right.
You
have, I tried to put there 3 spheres. You see 3 spheres. Right? sorry, taken away. 3 spheres, the yellow or the golden, the red, and the orange. That close. I put them at different sizes on purpose for relationship. Now you can see that inside the sphere, each of those can be described by 2 things or 3 things. Its boundary, a structural part into it. That is, I took the structure to be a triangle, and its phi, that is its dampener. That is where I colored. Do you see that? So that total system, the total system of the golden circle is a triangle plus its border and plus that phi. That is what surround it. I didn't color everything. You can color there. You can go the other side. Steve, Fred show. You can color it all the way around it. That would describe the whole system there. You can also have it for the red. You can have it for the orange. But then you have the blue. What is the blue?
Blue is the gap.
But that gap is filled by something that is out of a system. You can take it as your pole or whatever it is, but it is there. To say the whole is the put together of all this, and all this.
But the blue is, like this is space.
Everything is space there. My point
And
is that if you put all of these together, you are going to fill the space. That's the first point. But the second point is that to fill that space is not only the spheres that you put together, but there is something transcendental to your system. Something that has to be, that has to be put on the system to make it whole. The sum of the parts, if you took the part only the spheres, will not describe all without the filling of those blue gaps to make the tapestry of your plane that represents, well, your universe in 2 dimensions.
This looks very familiar to me.
Okay. And so to me, the accounting of Bucky is always an accounting of energy that is within structural systems. And the contribution to synergy, that is the whole put together, is more than the sum of a part, which is made of the phi, that is the dampener, and the transcendent part, that is the blue, is put in the background of that accounting. And that's what is released when you consider the whole to make the total energy that is in action a lot more than the sum of a part. Let me repeat my concept. Maybe it's crazy. In terms of accounting, you can have the structure thing that you can measure in terms of units of octahedra or of tetrahedra. You can measure all the triangles, or it can be whatever polyhedron that is in there. It is structured. It is a structure. All the energy that is inside it can be measured. We have systems to measure those things. However, the dampener where Steve put when he play music, where you press, where you press the chord, is important but you don't account it in your wavelength. That's the limit of your wavelength. That's what Richard was talking about, the plus and the minus towards zero. That is the bow, that is the tie. You have the bow here and the tie there. We know that it is called a cipher, it's called zero, but it's not zero in volume. It is something. That one, that makes the whole hole, it is the phi. We discussed ad nauseum about what the phi is. The phi is within your sphere, around your structure, in a particular arrangement. That's when Steve squeezes his guitar, whatever it is, or you press the note of a piano. Where you press, it is important for the sound, but you don't count it for the energy of the sound that goes out, which is structure. So that is what is within the sphere, but outside of the structure. Nonetheless, there is still that blue, that background of Fred there. The background, the glow that is blue behind Fred. When we look at that screen of Fred, we see Fred. And we neglect, we just say, okay, that blue is beautiful. We can't say that blue is Fred. But put Fred and that blue completely gives another signification to significance, or what signification? I don't know, of this Fred that we see. The tapestry of all that background adds to the energy of the system of Fred within that framework. And that's what it is.
That was brilliant.
That is synergy.
That was brilliant, Manu. I also had my aha moment. That was absolutely brilliant. It's really back to my first, our first meeting together when I joined 2 or 3 weeks ago. Is universe is me and all the rest. That's the first subdivision you can make. And for every one of us, universe is me and everything else. And in a way, synergy, which is the whole is bigger or has more than the sum of the parts, that blue speck in the middle of your sphere there is maybe a measure of synergy. You add parts in space, and then the space filled with those parts is bigger than what those parts individually fill, and that piece of blue is could be one measure of synergy. That's all I wanted to say. But brilliant, Manu. That's one of the first times I get a sort of understanding of what you're trying to tell us. I'm very pleased with that.
So I have a question. This is Bucky's closely packed spheres, and this is the space between the concave face. This is the space between in the blue that Manu pointed out to us. So Manu's blue is a two-dimensional space between, and over here is Bucky's space between closely packed tetrahedron. This is a three-dimensional equivalent of that little two-dimensional blue thing, right, Manu?
Yes.
Now, tell me something. This appears to be part of this system. Is it? Is the space between the spheres part of the system?
It might not, but it's not accounted for. But
the system is going to be what you define it to be.
Yes.
So the system in this case is the tetrahedron. Just like over here, we have a system of three circles. The space between
Steve, the system in this case is the cube octahedron that you have to the right there, because that is the cube octahedron of Bucky.
This is a cube octahedron.
Yes.
Hmm.
But the cube octahedron still leaves out something in our concept of universe that it
This is
doesn't
not
account for.
This is not
And
exactly a cube octahedron.
Why?
Yes, it
This
is.
is not, because it has triangles all around the top of it.
Yeah.
No. It is.
Oh, I don't believe so. Let me grab you a cube octahedron. A cube octahedron has triangles off of each, has a square off of each triangular base. Cube.
But you're not seeing all, Steve. Remember that this is multidimensional. I wouldn't risk myself to go and this is the image of that closed little park. The same to the right. That is it. The closed park of Bucky. And that closed park, we call it a cube octahedron.
This is a cube octahedron here. Cube octahedron has a square off of each triangular.
But that is a square to the right there. It's just that it's squareoid. I don't know how you call it.
It's a weird,
topologically a square
with stellations. This is a stellated cube. And this is a cube octahedron. And why I'm not able to grab this and throw it into the graphic boggles my mind. Let me try method number 3.
What page are you in the book, Steve? Where the cube octahedron is shown? We can just open the book and see it.
Well, I'm just trying to copy it. Then I can stick it on this page. Aha, there it is. See the difference? Each side of a square is a triangle, and each side of the triangle is a square.
But that's what you have to do, right? If I just pick, Steve, when you look, instead of looking at the flat top of your cube octahedron there, if you take it at the point where the 4 triangle meet, you see that?
Yeah, but it has a square base, Mono. This triangle should be up against another square. Every triangle in a cube octahedron, the side of every triangle is a square, and the side of every square is a triangle. That's not the case with this guy.
Yes, it
This
is.
is a stellated cube.
It is, Steve. I'm seeing that.
Yeah,
I'm seeing that every side can be put on a square.
Okay,
because
Steve,
you are considering one. Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Put your mouse on the apex on the top. There we go. Now you follow to the left to the next one.
Oh, to the left.
Yes.
Yes.
No, not this one. Not this one.
Not that one. The one.
This one.
Yes.
Next to
Then
it.
you move forward. No, forward. Follow the. This is
towards
not.
us. Yes.
No. Go back.
No.
Okay, here's the apex.
From this one, then to the next one.
Well, where's the next one?
This one. You were there, the one you identified before.
This guy?
This one. Okay,
Yes.
now you follow the edge towards
us, towards you,
towards
like
yourself.
this.
No, not this one.
Yeah.
You're not there. To the bottom. There we
yes.
go. And then you go back. Then you go back up to the apex, following. Then you go back up to the apex where you started. Okay, triangle. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
That's a rhombus.
Now, once you've got this triangle, the longest edge facing you between the last two vertices, if you go to the top one again. Okay. Now you follow the longest edge, which is now on the right side. No, not the longest one, the one facing you. Yes, okay, now you get there. So that edge is the second edge of a square. Now you go to the bottom edge, to the bottom vertices, following the edge.
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, but that's a third edge of a.
But what we have here is a half of an octahedron in each of these cases. This is triangle, triangle. Up here, triangle,
No,
triangle,
no,
triangle, triangle.
that's
This is
that's
half
not
of,
that's not that's an artifact from the drawing which tries to show through.
it's a stellated cube. That's what's fitting inside of these things. I'm sorry, all I see is a stellated cube. I see a cube stellated with stars on top, and each one of these tops have four sides. Where a cube octahedron,
No, they're not. They're triangles. 1, 2, 3. You can see only two, and a square in between.
yeah, you're trying to say that this side here is a square.
No, I'm trying
No,
to say this side here is a
underneath it.
triangle.
What, friend?
This face that you're on is a triangle, and that edge from the top of the triangle to the bottom of the triangle, that's one edge of the square shared with the triangle.
Mhm.
I don't
And
see
then
it.
if you go around, you've got four of those. Four triangles.
Don't you see this top as half of as half of an octahedron?
No, because it's an artifact. This top there is just it's a triangles, and in the middle is a square.
Well, I wish we had animated things so we could show each other what we're thinking. And this may go back to Lee's proposition about looking at the squares and not seeing the circles, and then suddenly seeing the circles and not seeing the squares. This looks like
Let
a
me prepare something.
four-sided pyramid. That looks like a standard pyramid, four sides, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same thing up here, same thing over here, same thing down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a pyramid, this is a pyramid, this is a pyramid, and inside of these four pyramids is a cube. And the one face is not stellated, and the backside of that is not stellated. And it fits inside the tetrahedron right here. This is from Synergetics, I do believe.
But that's not a tetrahedron. This
Is a
That's
tetrahedron
octahedron.
over here.
No,
This is a
It's
tetrahedron.
It is amazing that we're looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
when you look at
A part
that,
of
you've
audience
got
and
four
see something else,
spheres.
another one is seeing another thing else.
I don't see the fourth sphere, but I can agree with Richard that there could be a fourth sphere behind here, which would make this
Well, you can
an
count them. 1,
octahedron.
2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of them.
Where do you see the bottom circle? I see 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, this is yeah, okay, I miscounted that. That's right. This is not a tetrahedron. I stand totally corrected. This is a top of an octahedron.
Right.
And underneath it would be another sphere. So this is an octahedron. That proves this is an octahedron. This is not.
Is a cube octahedron.
That is a cube octahedron right over here.
But it's the same thing that we see in there, Steve. It's just that you are neglecting where you have a darker shades. You know, it's a little bit confusion. But that I'm just seeing exactly the same thing.
No. Well, I don't see it with you, so let's not debate it. You see one thing, I see something else.
Yeah,
so
that's
cool.
exactly what is interesting. And it's part of the music of universe. Really. To me, it is important. It is part of a musical universe.
Can you see my screen?
We can, Fred, and thank you for sharing.
Your screen.
Can you pin me so everybody sees it in a broader?
You're sharing your screen. Everybody sees it.
Okay. This here.
What?
This here is a triangle. Can you see that?
Oh, I thought, hey, you shared your screen, Fred. So we're seeing your background here with the stellar explosion, and we're seeing your drop-down stuff over here. I'll stop you from sharing, and then we can look at your picture. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to stop sharing, and then we'll be able to look at your picture. All right. Bam, and now we can, there we go. All right, now, Fred, I can pin you to the main screen, and everybody here can pin you to the, and now we see right there. Good.
Okay. You all set?
We can
Yes.
see your pencil in the
Okay.
middle of that square.
This here is a triangle.
No, it's not,
Yes.
Fred. You're missing the line right there. It's a hinged rhombic square. You missed that line right there, sir.
Oh, that's a sphere.
This is an octahedron based on the fact that this is the inside of a spherical octahedron. But
Yeah, but
okay,
this
go ahead,
is
make
a
your
sphere.
point. Sure.
Okay, so there's no hinge here. This is from the backside.
Okay.
This here is another triangle. And you have another one here.
Exact. Exact.
And you have the last one here, which is darker.
Exact.
Okay, now what appears here are 1, 2, 3, 4 of the triangles that create the outline of the square.
Exact. Which is a rhombus.
Can you see it now, Steve?
Um,
This line here, it's an artifact of the drawing that is trying to make you see through. There is no hinge here. There is no edge here.
Yeah, let me just comment on that as well. With those triangles that you've drawn with one curved edge and two straight edges,
Yes.
if you curve all of the edges, like
all
in the
curved.
diagram that Manu showed earlier, then a sphere or circle or a sphere, but in this case, say a circle, is 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 a triangle with its edges pushed out into a curvature. It's so a
Actually,
triangle and
this does not matter in the end because no, it doesn't matter because one is we're talking topology. That is, a triangle is 3 vertices, no matter what the shape of the edge is.
yeah.
And second
right.
is if you enlarge a circle to as big as possible, then the local edge becomes straight because the curvature becomes so the radius of curvature becomes so large that the edge becomes straight. When you compress it and then the sphere becomes smaller, then you start to see the curvatures.
Yeah, when you compress
Steve,
the
you're not convinced.
curvatures, then it pushes into a straight edge. It's still a
Yes.
triangle, but it's
Yes. It's compressed. Remember that all is energy. We figure the line is just a line of concentration of energy flow. That's what we
Okay.
see in all our receptors.
All I wanted to do is try to make Steve see it. Do you see it, Steve?
No.
Okay, sorry.
I see a
tried.
potential, but I don't see it.
Okay. I understand.
I mean, what I'm seeing when I saw that, I mistook that octahedron for a tetrahedron. And what I'm starting with this guy right here. Here is a spherical tetrahedron. And what we have is a sphere in the other picture is a spherical octahedron that's concave instead of convex. So I see different things, and I apologize. Right now, I'm seeing squares, not circles. Or I'm seeing squares, not triangles.
Steve, just stop there.
Stop where? What?
Just there, the picture. Just
You want me to
press
go back,
pause.
or you want me to stop sharing?
No. I want
back.
you to go back to where you were, the movie that you were showing.
Okay. To the tetrahedron, the
Yes.
spherical tetrahedron. Here we go.
Yes. Yeah.
There it is. Spherical tetrahedron. I wish I had an animated spherical
Okay,
octahedron.
let's just stop there. Just imagine duality now. That is, those four, you add another one at the bottom to make five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that you have two tetrahedra that are like that.
Okay, 2 tetrahedron.
Yes. If you just put one other sphere at the bottom of it, then
You
and
have
then
2
you put
tetrahedra.
those same relationship, everything becomes clear.
It doesn't become clear, but it becomes a dual tetrahedron.
But we're talking about the system. Closely
Okay.
packed is at infinity.
Yeah.
We're not taking this and just keeping it that is like that. Put another one on the. It just to illustrate for you to see the triangles and then the square.
I don't see any squares in this picture. Are you telling me there's squares here?
If you put one at the bottom, you could start seeing the square.
I would see a hinged rhombus. I would see 4 hinged 1, 2, 3 hinged rhombuses.
But depending on the perspective, a rhombus is a square.
Exactly. But it'd be a hinged one.
It is. We've seen everything in perspective, Steve. Some part of it is close to us, another part is very far. That's why you have curvatures and lengths that are different.
Yeah. In the jitterbug, the squares in the cube octahedron start to collapse and they become hinged rhombics. And I would see, if you put another sphere at the base of this, I would see 3 hinged rhombic shapes. And you could call them squares, but they're hinged diamonds, what Bucky would call hinged diamonds in the jitterbug explanation. I'm sorry.
But whatever you call, Steve, remember that we are inside and seeing things and imagining what it is. We are inside.
Okay.
We are never in a case where we are looking at the thing and then like I'm looking at my we are ants on a flat plane.
Yeah, I understand that metaphor.
That's what we have to reduce the dimension in order to see.
Perfect. I don't want to captivate the conversation any more than I have, so I repent and I'm ready to turn the conversation back.
No, it's don't apologize. It's okay to
Good.
leave it aside for the moment, but
And my daughter is calling me.
I tell you what, I'm a 2D guy. I can't see 3D, and I struggle with it like crazy to the point when I avoid it. Unlike Manu that just dives into it. I love 2D, but no, it's really, really hard to see. So don't worry about it. That will come. That will come.
Okay, good. Talk to you back. Bye-bye.
Shall we go back to reading?
Yeah, shall we do that? My daughter called me from New York, you guys, and I apologize for taking the call, but it's like midnight there. And I just wanted to make sure there's no emergency. She's fine, and maybe she'll be awake when we get off the call. And Anne, thank you so much. This is you conducting this thing, isn't it, here? Good job, Anne. I don't hear you, Anne, because you're muted.
Sorry. Plane tessellations. The mathematical title may be somewhat intimidating, but plane tessellations are actually quite familiar. Derived from the Latin word for tiling, tessellation in mathematics refers to planar patterns of polygons. Because of the ease of working with flat patterns, we begin our study of space filling with the analogous situation in the plane. Which regular polygons fit together edge to edge to fill a page? So figure 12.1, plane tessellations, regular and semi-regular tilings of the plane. We can fill up a page with squares, as anyone who has ever seen graph paper knows. And the pattern created by equilateral triangles is almost as familiar. Another successful tessellation is found on many bathroom floors, covered by tiny hexagonal tiles, figure 12.1a, with these immediately apparent examples, we might begin to suspect that any regular polygon can fill a page. However, a little experimentation quickly reveals that we have already exhausted the possibilities. Can we move the page up, Fred? Sorry. Thank you. Okay, 3 regular pentagons, equilateral and equiangular, placed side by side, leave a 36-degree angular gap, not nearly wide enough to accommodate a 4th pentagon. 5-sided tiles are thus disqualified. 3 heptagons simply cannot fit around a single point, as we saw in chapter 4. Octagons meet of some similar fate, as of course do any polygons with more sides. We are suddenly confronted with a very limited group of plane fillers, triangles, squares, and hexagons. Do we say is it polygons? Polygons, right? Polygons?
Polygon. It
Polygon.
depends on what part of the country you're from.
Okay, thank you.
If you're down south, they're called polygons.
Thank you for that one. Opening up the field to allow combinations of regular polygons while maintaining equivalent vertices expands the inventory. No, okay, only slightly. 8 semi-regular tessellations join the 3 patterns above, figure 12-1, point B. Still an impressively small group. These 11 tilings can be categorized in terms of the different rotational symmetries exhibited by each, and within the group, every category of repeating planar patterns as is represented. It is fascinating to reflect on the implications of these results. For example, a wallpaper designer can only create what the limitations inherent in the plane will allow. These cumulative experiences, especially those as straightforward as plane tessellations, nurture our growing awareness of spatial constraints. And with each step, our knowledge of the elegant position of this order expands synergetically. Okay, I'll pass it on to the next person as we move
I'd
on.
like to pause and make sure that if anybody has any comments on that. I wish that we could see all these figure 12-1 A and B. I wish we could see them animated, because I'm not clear exactly what they're doing. If I look down here, scroll down just a little bit, Fred, so I can see the A on that page. I want to see the A in figure 12-1A. Come on down a little bit more, please. Keep going. Keep scrolling. Good. Keep scrolling. You see the A right there? See below there? That looks to me a little bit like Manu's Earth, because Manu can take his Earth in a rhombic shape, and then spread it out in a 2D plane, and some of those triangles are black. Manu, do you have your Earth on that you can spread out in a 2D plane?
This one.
Yeah.
The icosahedron, this one.
Yeah. It's an icosahedron. And see the little black triangles that are there? It seems to me that some of these triangles ought to be black. I mean, when I look at some of this, I go, gee, reminds me of that icosahedron on a 2D plane.
This is exactly the icosahedron, and it's dual. That's all. Because it's the same. This guy here is the same as this guy. You can see the icosahedron here in white triangles, and the gaps between the pentagonal gaps that are in there is exactly the same. The whole of this is all space filling in terms of you can unpack this in 2D in a plane, this that I'm holding. Right? Take it out. It's the same as this.
I'm going to work with you on some synonyms, okay?
Okay.
Because I so appreciate your effort. Yeah, isn't that, see that icosahedron on a 2D plane? It has some black spots in it.
Yeah.
Because what's explaining in this section here is that it doesn't, all polygons do not unpack onto a 2D plane in a way that makes sense.
And to me, this explains, excuse me from going back to something that we saw last week, the spontaneous stability from the cube octahedron to the isocosahedron, because it can just spontaneously. That's it.
Would you do me a favor and would you take that thing and open it up onto a 2D plane again one more time? I'm going to pin you up there and I'm going to take a picture of that puppy.
Hey, what is Fred doing? He's standing on the earth.
Yeah, Fred,
Yes, he is.
he's a spaceman. He is a spaceman.
That's a
That
Dymaxion
was
map with
phenomenal.
20 triangles.
Yes.
Okay, hold it that way. Horizontally, Manu, because horizontally you can see it more plain. I can see it more plainly. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get some masking tape and tape it together.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm going to show that right now, and we're going to ask Fred. Oh, Fred has already come off of the horizon of the Earth,
And you'll see that with the icosahedron, it's the closest thing there is in that sense to a circle or a sphere, but it isn't.
Yes. It is just you know, this is the first. I'm just playing. Yeah, you see, it's taking that form in a way or not.
It takes it just by bouncing it in your hand. It gradually takes that form. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Because
And
the
black
things are magnetic, Manu. What's magnetic?
Yes. The black are magnetic. It's a magnetic on paper. It's a magnetic stuff on paper. It's just to hold the fold.
Yeah.
When I fold like this for it to hold, you see?
Ah,
When I fold.
I want to get one of those, Manu. Where do you get
I
that?
like that.
Why we talk? I think that is too late because when you look for these now, you don't get them.
Okay.
It was on Amazon when we talked. When Susan, I think it was about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. No, it was before. When did Kelly fall sick? That might be 3 years ago. That was the right time. And I was lucky. I ordered from Amazon and I got it. But now when you go to Amazon, I don't know. It doesn't.
Is there a manufacturer name on it, Manu? Anywhere on the backside? Is there a printed manufacturer name?
No, it's the institute itself. It's Fuller Institute.
Oh, I see. Cool.
It is a Bucky Fuller Institute.
Ah, okay.
A while back, too, I was showing you the puzzle that I've got.
Yeah.
And that way, the puzzle has 20 triangles with the map on it. And so you can configure the triangles in such a way that wherever you want the center of the Earth to be, you can configure the triangle. So if you want it to center on Africa or North America or Asia, you can rearrange the triangle so that you're the center of the universe, so to speak.
If you know Chinese, the word for China is the center of the universe. It's a square with a line down through it.
Right.
Wow.
It's absolutely amazing that the Chinese would hold themselves as the center of the universe. That's the word for China. I think I'm right, Fred?
I think is universal, Steve.
It's universal that everybody thinks they're the center of the universe.
Yeah.
No,
serious. You go to any culture, that's the way people think.
It's the people. Yeah.
And that's why the map or the puzzle map is interesting, because you can configure it in a way that makes you the center, or your place, if in terms of a country or a nation or a region. Yeah.
Cool. Do we want to continue? Were there any other comments?
But the point that I want to emphasize in the accounting, when you see the hierarchy of numbers between the integers, real numbers, the rational numbers, irrational numbers, and transcendental numbers. That is this. We invoke something outside of our realm. I wouldn't call it realm. To get the sphere, we had to invoke pi. Because and pi is transcendental. It's called a transcendental number. You cannot have it by a series of rational numbers.
Would you guys like to see the most amazing animation of pi? Would you guys like to see that? I just found
Pi
one.
or phi?
Pi, P-I. And it's a animated proof that pi is transcendental. Let me see if I can find it here real fast. If I can't find it in the next 3 seconds, I will find it in my emails because I'm sending it to myself. Ooh, I have drawings of it. I don't have the animation saved, but I have drawings. I'm going to find the animation because it's absolutely mind-blowing, and I'll share it as my takeaway. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to add something to 2D plane tessellations. You can tessellate the plane with nearly any polygon, regular polygon, except that you have to move out of a flat plane and you have to move to a hyperbolic plane. Inside a hyperbolic plane, you can add as many edges as you want, and then you get a shape, flat shape that cannot be put flat anymore. It's got waves in it because there's more material than you can iron out flat. But you can still create a tessellation in a hyperbolic plane. What's interesting there is that if you look at what the group of circular Manu, what the name of the geometric the from ellipse to circle to the conics. When you look at the conics,
Yes, the conics, yes, the conics.
Thank you. When you look at the conics, which is the circle, the hyperbola, the parabola, and the ellipse, what Manu showed us was compression toward the circle. That is from 2D surface flat. If you go from there to parabola, ellipse, and circle, and then you compress it and it closes onto itself, and then now you have a 2D surface on top of a sphere or spheroid, some object. But if you go the other way towards parabola, you open it, you expand it, and the parabola, the hyperbola, just is it's like a circle, but on the other spectrum, on the other side of the spectrum, and it expands, it opens, and it opens to a point where the plane becomes more and more open, more and more with more and more wrinkles as additional material, surface material is added onto it. I had what I was looking for, and you saw the artifact from moving towards and closer, the zoom effect, the zoom screen saver there. I was looking at my hyperbolic plane that I had constructed out of paper glued together, and I glued more polygons than could be put flat, and then you get a whole wrinkled surface that can expand, and there we go. So I wanted to add that plane tessellations are not just flat; they can go around, like when they close onto themselves, or they can expand and become more wrinkled as they expand. That's what.
But one thing that Fred said important that is always overlooked.
Yes.
It continues say you compress or you expand.
Yes.
The role of a compressor is never taken into account. We just saw the result.
Yes.
We talk about the conic. We talk about it becomes an ellipse it becomes this and that. But there is somebody or something that is causing that too. And the accounting of our energy, that is always neglected.
Yes. Yes, and we can add to that. If we
Yes.
look at why do we say that the universe is expanding? We actually don't really know. We know because from observation, it's expanding. But is it at one moment going to expand so much that everything becomes so diluted and then cold and then lifeless and no movement and so on? Or is that going to expand to a point and then compress back onto itself? We don't know that. We can't measure it yet. And that's the difference between a flat plane that compresses back onto itself toward a circle, or a flat plane that expands following a hyperbola. So this have implication for our future.
It's interesting because there's been in Stephen Hawking's book, Brief History of Time, he proposed the idea that the universe would continue to expand and possibly expand it, cool down, as Fred said, and go into nothingness. But Roger Penrose, who actually created the math that Hawking used to prove they're black holes, Roger Penrose believes that what happens is the universe continues to expand, it approaches the speed of light, and then that's the singularity, and it automatically then as soon as it approaches infinite speed, it is a black hole, and it just continues to bubble. So he's more like the Hindu idea that, every 10,000 years, Raman opened his eyes and a new lotus pops up and there's a new Vishnu. And so Roger Penrose is kind of excited about that. So that's interesting. I found my pi thing. How much more can we read? We're actually at a section heading here. Where are you guys with your brains? You want to read more, or shall we?
I think we should not read more.
Yeah, me too. Because
guys, apologize. I'm gonna have to run because I just got word. The little girl is high fever, but in hospital. So I'm gonna have to see how to support my daughter and the husband. So I'm gonna run. Yeah. Thank you very
I'll send
much.
you the link to the pi thing.
What's your takeaway, Anne?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes, I do have one takeaway. Because of the whole, how we keep talking about the whole is more important than the sum of its parts, and then fractal wholeness, etc. Right? So, and then I think last week we were talking a lot about, and what came up for me was we talked about one portion of it, but when you look at it in like at a bigger scale, it's crazy, right? And most times we don't learn from that space. So my question is, if we can take it up next week, I'm okay. What is the 2D plane of a tessellation of a 4D? Because since we've been going to 4D, so what in the world does a 2D look like for from a 4-dimensional space? But anyway, that's what it's a question now, right? But thank you so much, guys. I will see you all next week, yeah, or Wednesday. Bye-bye.
You want to pass it on to someone, Anne, before you go? And blessings to you and your daughter.
All right, sure. Yeah, Lee, how do you feel? What's your takeaway today?
Thank you.
And bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
I have a wonderful day that I've experienced, and I'm very grateful for what I have learned tonight. There was a little bit of confusion, but I think I saw what Steve never saw. So I'm going to have to sit down with him and draw it out so that he might be able to see what we were seeing. But I am very grateful that I've been able to join this meeting and meet each and every one of you. I have learned so much, and hope and strive to learn more. Richard, what have you seen, and how do you feel, and what is your takeaway?
Well, Well, I feel what's the feeling? um, in engaged is really a part of it in terms of appreciating the dialogue and the search for um, this sort of emerging awareness amongst all of us. Um, I'm intrigued with again something that I got out of Fuller's reading some years ago, probably, about this idea of the triangle and the circle being one and the same. And the only difference is that one has sort of straight edges, the triangle, and the circle has uh, curvature, rounded edges. Um, and so I think he made the argument that a triangle or a circle is just a big triangle. um, and so that's helped me be able to move in a sense in a planar sort of graphic from a circle triangle to a straight edge triangle, if you want, and still see them both as triangles. And I know, I don't think it was last week too, that um, that's what's helped me understand what I now consider to be the circle base of a teepee, um, which is another way of saying it's a circular tetrahedron. um, and the way it creates the circle is that you start out with 3 poles in a triangular shape, the 60-degree angle shape, and then you put 4 poles in between each of the 3 to get a total of 15, and that actually forces the straight edge, if you want, out into a round bottom. And anybody who has a visual of an indigenous teepee, that's what they see, is a round-based tetrahedron, or it could be like the Egyptian pyramid is considered a square-based pyramid. The tetrahedron is considered a triangle-based pyramid, and you could say the indigenous teepee is a round-based or circle-based tetrahedron. But they're all um, connected to the nature of the base, whether it's a square base, and the Egyptian pyramid is actually half an octahedron. The um, tetrahedron is a geometric structure of itself, and the circle-based tetrahedron is just a different manifestation of a basic tetrahedron. So that's my takeaway, is to be continuing to integrate all those different sort of ways that the triangles can form or can inform how different structures are established. So that's my takeaway. Manu, what's your feeling and your takeaway today?
I'm feeling good. I have 2 simple takeaways. One, I have a new and high esteem for my tiler. I just realized that it does a great job. I've put in tiles, in a beautiful way on complicated surfaces. The second takeaway, which is a response to Anne's query, is that if you really want to know, the answer to will be the number of shapes that you have in the tessellation. It will give you an idea of a higher dimension. Because you say a 4-dimension, how do you tessellate into a plane? And I say, if you look at the different shape that I use, and you count that number of shapes, that is the answer to Anne. And the fourth and the third, my third takeaway, I say too, is that I come out now with a new formula of universe in terms of energy and all mixing in that energy is that universe is the multiplication of pi multiplied by phi multiplied by the tetrahedron. I repeat, universe is pi multiplied by phi multiplied by the tetrahedron. It gives me the most compressed. It gives me what I call the tetrahedron with that sphere in the middle of it. Otherwise, I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And I wish you all a beautiful weekend further. Fred, how do you feel? What do you take away?
Thank you, Manu. Thank you. Pi multiplied by phi multiplied by tetrahedron. Okay, I'm back to my thinking of the last month or something. Universe is me plus what's not me. Universe is me plus the rest of it. So universe, can you see that? It's too small. So universe,
Yeah.
all me
Yeah.
plus the rest.
Yes.
In mathematics, that's this is a set theory. Set theory. This is divide to multiply. That is, you have the whole, usually called omega,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's me. The omega, there's me.
Why not
Mm-hmm.
make alpha?
Plus not me. And that's the way
Yes.
to,
The
write
complementary. You call it the complementary.
the complementary. So
Yes.
omega is me plus not me. The universe is me plus what, everything that's me plus everything that's not me.
Yes.
I just wanted to share the notation. So that's my takeaway for the notation. Space filling. I think we've got to go back to space filling because plane tessellations are one thing. I think we need to go back to hyperbolic, and then we need to go to filling a plane with a line. How do we fill a plane with a line? And I think we should do that. So that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. Stephen, how do you feel, and what is your takeaway, please?
I'm feeling grateful. Fred, how would you anticipate that we would approach that topic that you just suggested? Will we start over with our reading, or are you just proposing as a hypothetical?
Just 1 second. I'm struggling with my cameras. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, how do I suggest we approach this topic?
That question, yeah.
Well, we can have several approaches depending on what we want to do. We can go back to that and start discussion about this and have an open discussion based on what we read today. Or we can have a specific topic that then one of us has to prepare and present to the others. That's the two approaches. I think open discussion is a good thing. It allows everybody to, as we share ideas, share the pace of understanding of it, and it can be a slow and profound discussion about this aspect that it's, unless you've looked into it yourself, this is usually something that people are not very aware of. So there's plenty of discoveries there.
Cool. I think because Anne talks about how this all works, all these tessellations work in 4D space. And 4 dimensions was actually part of the last chapter. We had a section called 4 Dimensions. And to me,
Yes.
I'm satisfied that we actually had a thorough understanding of 4 dimensions. It talks about figure 11-7 being 4 independent axes of rotation.
Yes.
That was if that implies 4 dimensions, to me, that's as close as it got. So yeah, I think there are a lot of questions here. And part of me thinks we could continue reading, but I'm really open for any kind of exploration because all of our divergent conversations have been very exciting. And I hope that when I do my final share here, that will add to it. Oh, shit, you can't hear me. You're hearing me through Lee's.
No, we heard you.
We heard
And
you
Steve,
through
and
the-
Steve, by the way, if in our concept of universe, if there were no divergence, it wouldn't be
There would be no
dynamic. It would be
universe.
dead.
No universe, exactly
Okay,
right.
so I don't worry about that.
Diversions are the key. Fred, go ahead.
I'm very pleased you brought back Anne's suggestion to go to how to manage the 4D to 1D, to 2D.
Yeah.
If you noticed, I did the same, but the other way. Instead of expanding the number of dimensions, I just compressed it. Is how do we get a 1D to 2D? How do we use a line, which is 1D object, into a 2D surface?
Yeah.
We become master of energy. We become like master of energy, and then we can compress and we can pull it to where we want.
I've actually written a paper on dimensionality, starting with the 0th dimension and going through 0th, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've actually written a paper on it. It's still in draft. I considered it being part of my book, Extreme Mindfulness, but I don't want to blow anybody away, so it might be in volume 3 or volume 4. And I would be happy to pull out that paper. If we took a month just to diverge and leave poor Amy behind, part of me says we really ought to finish Amy and then we ought to open it up to whatever we want. But I love the concept of looking at dimensionality and what it means.
If we're going to do that, I'm not sure you're ready for it, but let's say that's part 5 of your book.
Yeah.
Steve book will never. Steve, you have to decide to start publishing your book because
I'm going to focus
book,
my book. I've got
I don't
volume
know.
1
It's
in
going
mind,
to be.
Fred.
It's going to be like this one.
Yeah, Manu.
I don't know.
Thank you for being protective of me, but I've got an abridgment in mind. I have a volume 1 in mind. It's 3 basic chapters.
Do you know this one?
Yeah. It's okay. Thank you, Fred. You have.
You know it.
Let me go back to what I was saying when somebody interrupted me. Number 4, we talk about 1, 2, 3, 4 dimensions, and you think in integer increments. How about the 2.756 dimensions?
Yeah.
You've heard about that?
That's E. That is
No,
2.7. That's not E. No, E is 2.71.
That is not E. That is fractals.
Okay.
Fractals have non-integer dimensions.
That's right.
And we can calculate them. So maybe one of our next sessions,
Listen, I studied Mandelbrot set and Julia set. I studied both of those.
That is
so
Steve.
I do understand
That's Steve and Fred.
Dimensions.
Okay, you own that one. That is you. The assignment is the 2 of you. You prepared that and you talk to us. Right. I got it.
I want to finish my takeaway.
Yes, please.
Well, I saw a thumb go up. I don't know who put a thumb, but somebody gave you a thumb.
Whenever I do that, there's a thumb go up.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure I got that, but let me, as my part of my takeaway, there's Fred. He's giving a thumb up. So let me share with you this as my takeaway. We're going to start it out slow, and then I'll speed it up. It says it's 3 minutes long, but I'll only do this for 1.5 minutes. Here we go. This is an animation of pi.
It's not arrived yet.
Yeah, it's coming. There we go. And you'll see in a minute where it becomes irrational. Shoot, I had this run through, so it shouldn't be doing this buffering, but I'm sorry. Here we go. Oh, this frustrates me. I need more computer juice.
Hmm,
Oh my gosh.
it's a flower.
And now here comes the irrationality. Here it comes. Whammo. There it is. Now we're going to speed it up, I hope.
Hmm. That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Hang on, I'm going to speed it up. Whoop, wrong direction.
Ooh,
It'll be done.
my goodness.
Oh, this frustrates me.
That's a sphere. Not a circle anymore. A sphere.
It's pi. This is 2D pi.
Ah, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Come on.
Ooh.
And then it starts over.
Wow.
I just thought that was beautiful. So that's my takeaway. Yeah.
Can I just make, has everybody been through?
Yeah, I think that's everybody's been through.
Has Richard been through? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Let me just say something about that your pi and the irrationality. It might be wrong what I'm saying. I'm saying pi defies what Fred explained to us in the set theory, which is the base of the structures, in that a whole can be partitioned into two, into me and the otherness. That is very structural. Now, if you look at pi, it holds at the same time the implosiveness and the explosiveness. In the process, you saw at the same time the sphere being formed and the flower pop out. So that is the original unity, the whole. You have to invoke pi to grasp the real whole. If you just rely on your internal accounting, you will never grasp it. You count yourself, you count the order, you count the boundary, the phi, because you can add rational thing to the phi. But that H between the P and the I, you will never eliminate it until you accept. Let's just say accept, because accepting means that it is externally imposed onto you. It transcends you. The idea that one thing and its contrary can hold into one. In this thing, we always see the sphere and the flower at different phases. We use phases to see them. But in that demonstration of pi, there's no phase, it's just the whole thing. It's a movie. It's a whole. It is the two interpenetrate. That is my little comment on this. I take the risk. Let's just put it that way. I just felt like I will express it. This is just from artistic point of view.
Right on. Okay,
All right.
so taking the suggestion, we've gone 200 pages in this book. The book is actually 300 pages long. We're 2/3 of the way through it. I'd like to finish this book before we go freeform. And I don't mind going freeform on dimensionality because there is much to be considered there. Dimensionality can be measured in many arbitrary ways, and each of them are a great metaphor. And I'd love to see whatever metaphor you have coming out of your head, Fred, and Manu, and Richard. But I'm going to propose that we finish this book, and I'm not a dictator. So whatever you guys want to do, ponder it and let me know. Okay? Okay, good.
Good.
All right. I'm complete. Everybody complete tonight?
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys for
Thank you.
Fred and Ann for running the show and keeping the show on the road while I took some time for me and my family. And now Ann's with her family. Life is beautiful. And Joe's with his family. And we're here with our family, which is wonderful to me. I appreciate you guys so much. See you next week.
All right.
Good
Thank
night.
you.